a draft that most of the ministries agree on. That is then sent on to the State Council for approval, but with less sort of involvement from stakeholders or at the provincial level.
That's not the whole picture.
Okay.
Since I guess you might be asked the Tsinghua and EF Foundation for Tsinghua University and NCSC. Since EF provided a huge program supporting 18 national or state-owned research institute to do the sectors analysis. So they are doing the job from the different sectors in the national level, but provincial level plays really important role. When the draft plan cannot accept by the provincial level, it cannot go further.
Okay.
You know.
So how? Just to clarify, just sort of chronologically how the process works, because like, how does the NDRC or the MEE, do they call for the provinces? They say, we want to release a new NDC by, let's say, November this year. So they ask all the provinces to send them their sort of drafts, or do they send a draft to the provinces for comment?
Hold the decision making. We cooperate with NCSC, and we also support the Jinjinji, that is the Tianjin, Hebei, and Beijing, and the Yangtze River Delta and Pearl River Delta. And all the decision making or the draft supporting the draft by NCSC, they also calculate the subnational level emissions historic data and to look at if they can match to each other. However, you know, like the local level, the provincial level always ask the higher picking, and later the longer time to reach the target. Since, you know, China has a very strict local government performance review. If you have a more ambitious target, that is too risky for their performance review. So it's also bargaining. Just like in EU, the states and the European Union always bargain to each other. It's a similar, but the draft sent to the State Council with the consideration, of course, with the consideration of the local, but since they have a kind of the comparing to the sectors research, the local research is kind of weak. Only few of them have the capacity to do that. Like the Zhejiang province, the coast area are very good at that, but for the central areas are not very good at that. It's normally based on the historical data to look at what will happen and look at the trend to do that.
Okay, well, that actually leads me on perfectly to the sort of next point, which is I wanted to ask you a little bit more in detail on this sort of technical expertise side, because as far as I understand it, you have these large national think tanks or government-led research institutions like the NCSC, and they have pretty good modeling capacity, and they run their models for the nation, taking into account sectoral issues. But as you said, China's a very big country, and you need data on all of the different provinces. And I find it interesting where does the provincial level come in to that process? So just correct me if I'm wrong. If I understand it correctly, each province will do their own assessment, their own analysis of what the draft means for their province, or how does it? Because for example, if China says we're going to reduce emissions, this isn't the case, but I don't remember the exact target. But they set a target on a national level, And then as far as I understand it, on the implementation side, they divide the target between the different provinces. So they say, okay, but do they know how they want to divide the target before they communicate it at the UNFCCC?
A good question. We are helping the MEE to do the research, learning the experiences from European Union, how Europe get the effort sharing. It's called effort sharing system or effort sharing regulation to give the target to each member states. So we just provided the policy, kind of the policy research to MEE on that. So to tell the truth, by now there are several research institutes are helping MEE to do the research on how to allocate the carbon quota to the each provinces, how to consider about the not transparent, just equity, equity, efficiency, and effectiveness. So that is the ongoing research right now. But of course, China is really good at using administrative tools to reallocate the national target to each provinces. That is why the provinces very eager to talk with the central government. They want to bargain. They explain, like Zhejiang province said, look, we have the big chemical plant. It's not just for our Zhejiang province. It's kind of contribute to the national level. It's export. So how to identify the border of the provinces. Some provinces like Shanxi will say, look, we're using the coal to generate the power, but the power is used by the other provinces. So the emission, the quota should not be calculated on me. It should be separated by the other users. So there's a lot of bargaining. So, generally, they are involved in the discussion.
But so, like, at what stage of the process does this happen? Because, like I said again, because the NDC obviously is a national target, it doesn't include provincial targets in it. Or will the new one include the provincial targets as well?
For the former NDC, they all have the provincial target, but they do not have the cap. You know, like the former NDC, China just have the carbon intensity target. Each per GDP carbon emission reduction target. So not absolutely data, absolutely number. It's a kind of a comparative number. It's carbon with carbon intensity, and every provinces have their carbon intensity target. But right now, we are expecting China have the cap, the total amount target. But right now, we will see in 14th 5 years plan if China will have the cap target.
But so, for example, with the emissions intensity, so the emissions intensity target got set in the INDC, which then became the NDC. I'm trying to find the document because I don't remember whether or not there were provincial targets already in the official document communicated at the UNFCCC. The reason I ask is because the way I understood it, what I've been told so far is what happens is that the government, together with expert help, defines a national target, and then once that target is defined, they then divide the target up on the provincial level, and that's where the provinces have bargaining power. But the provinces, the people I've talked to at least, they say that the provinces in the actual drafting of the NDC, before it gets communicated to the UNFCCC, don't play as much of a role. But you seem to say that that's not true. And I'm just wondering how that plays out.
I should say